Okay, so we've got a good group of people in here, so I think we are okay to go ahead and get started if everyone's good with that. Hopefully everyone can see my slide. I did get some confirmation earlier that that seemed to be working, and hopefully you can all hear me too. So we'll just get things started. My name is Katie Duffy. I am one of the admissions advisors at SUNY Plattsburgh. I am joined by Eli Remillard in the nursing department. Eli, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eli Remillard, and I am the coordinator and advisor for the online RN-to-B.S program in the nursing department. So I work with students through the enrollment process and through the entire program, helping you get a schedule set up, helping you progress through the program and deal with any obstacles that you have. So I will be kind of your one-stop shop resource for the entirety of your time in the program. So nice to meet you.
Great. Yeah. So just kind of basic rundown of the presentation. We're going to kind of go over some of the basic information about the RN-to-B.S program offered at SUNY Plattsburgh. Some of those things like applying, requirements for the program, talking about transferring your credits, then kind of really moving into the advisement and registration portion of things, and just kind of more information about the coursework and what the program is really all about. And there's plenty of opportunities if you want to ask questions for admissions, for Eli. There's a Q&A feature. There's also a chat. I think some of you have found that already. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, and we'll leave some time at the end for questions, this is a great opportunity to get those answered while you have admissions and you have Eli from the department right here. So go ahead and move forward. That is downtown Plattsburgh that you're looking at. Actually, if you haven't been up to Plattsburgh before, it is a pretty little town. It's in upstate New York, very north, about 30 minutes from the Canadian border, if you're just trying to locate where we are on a map. All right. So before we kind of dive into the program, just to give you a little bit of background about SUNY Plattsburgh, just so you kind of know more about the institution that you're potentially applying to and attending, and kind of where we're located, kind of what we're all about. We are one of the SUNY schools, so we're a public school in upstate New York. We actually started out in 1889 as a teachers college. That was what they called a state training and normal school. Obviously, we have expanded quite a bit since then, and we have number of programs in kind of education, health, and human services, including the nursing program. That is Hawkins Hall that you're looking at if you ever get to come up to campus. It's got a pretty pond there. It looks really nice in the fall. So we'd love to see you on campus at some point if you're able to make it up there. Enrollment size, we're a little under 5,000 undergraduate students right now, about 4,800. We do have some graduate programs as well. There's about 400, close to 400 grad students enrolled. Being a SUNY school, most of our students do come from New York State, obviously, but we have students from really all over the country and all over the world, all of the surrounding states, all over the country, all over New York State, especially for the online programs like the RN-to-B.S, which is nice because you're going to have students from kind of all over in your different nursing classes, and you'll get to really learn a lot of information about different hospital systems all throughout the state that way. And there will also be students likely that are from the same region as you. About 30% of our students identify as being from a diverse background. Almost half of our students identify as first generation, so they're the first in their family to attend college and receive a bachelor's degree. As a whole, we're accredited by the Middle States Association, which is our regionally accrediting body. In addition to that, some programs have their own program-specific accreditations as well. Oh, I did see a question that popped in here about how long would this degree take if the student already has a bachelor's degree with all gen ed requirements met within another SUNY college. Eli, is that something you can talk to now?
Yeah, definitely. I was just typing out an answer for you, Christina.
Oh, perfect.
But typically, so if you're open to taking courses in the summer and winters, in addition to the fall and spring semesters, you can typically complete the program less than 2 years going part-time. So that would just be about 6 credits or typically 2 classes each term. But we're going to talk more about kind of the credit evaluation process, but on a part-time basis, If you're open to taking courses in those other terms, definitely within 2 or under, depending on how kind of aggressive you want to be with your scheduling.
Thank you. Yeah, so I just give you that kind of that background information about student classwork because I think it's important to know about the school that you're potentially attending. And I think one of the things that really kind of attracts students to this program is, that it is being tied to a brick and mortar institution. All right, so the RN-to-B.S nursing program. This is set up really as a degree completion program for students who have their associate's degree or diploma in nursing. Basically, the student would need to be eligible for their RN license at the time that they start the program. So it's an option for students who are eligible for the licensure and want to, really advance their education through earning a bachelor's degree, which is increasingly, I think, required for students, for people to have jobs as nurses. And I think there's that rule where people who are currently working as nurses have to go back and get the bachelor's degree within a certain amount of time. So we're seeing large range of students coming into the program, students who have gone directly through the associate's degree, don't want to stop, they just keep going to get the bachelor's degree. We have students applying into this program who have been working for a number of years and want to go back and complete their bachelor's. One thing that I do want to note, so while students do need to be eligible for the RN license at the time that they start the program, they need their associates, you don't have to have it completed in order to apply. So as long as it's anticipated, a lot of students in their last year or their last semester of their nursing program, you can start the application process at that point. As long as it's going to be completed prior to starting the program, you can start the application process, you can get advisement, registration, sign up for classes. You just need to verify those conditions once at the start of the semester. Let's see another question here.
Katie, if I could just add to that. So, so like Katie says, you don't need to have your nursing licensure at the start of the program. So what the nursing department does is we verify your nursing license at the end of your first semester within the program. So what that means is if you're finishing your associate's program, say in May, you can certainly start the program in fall or even summer, because we have a summer admission as well. I wouldn't recommend that because I'd recommend taking the summer to focus on passing your boards. But just to let you know, you don't need to have your license ready in hand to apply or to technically even start that first semester of the program. So say, for example, you finish your associate's program in May, you take the boards in July, say you're not successful on your first attempt, you have to wait a few months to take it again. You could enroll in coursework for that fall semester and just retake the NCLEX in your fall semester as well. So there is kind of, I just wanted to clarify that because that's certainly not a barrier to starting the program.
Great, thank you for that information. We do have a message here from, there's a number of student nurses at CVPH with an associates. That's how I came to learn about this program during a travel contract to Plattsburgh as an LPN. Great. Yeah, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know where CVPH is actually the hospital that's literally right across from SUNY Plattsburgh and Hawkins Hall, that first building that you saw on the previous slide. It's right across from that building. So we're very closely located to a hospital. Okay, so a little bit about our nursing students. I mentioned earlier, we have students really from all different backgrounds coming into this program. We have over 150 matriculated transfer students participating in the online RN-to-B.S in nursing program. We had about 39 new transfer students in, I believe that was fall 2020, and about 20 students, I think, in spring 2021. So as I said, we've got students who are coming in, basically just started an associate, they started an associate's degree right after high school and are continuing all the way through. We have students who have been working in the field for quite a while and are now returning to get their bachelor's degree. So we have students from all different backgrounds and all different stages of life and their careers. So I think you'll find people that are in similar situations to you, no matter what that looks like for you. See the chat is nice and active. I'm glad you enjoyed the campus. Great, so a little bit of information about the application process. And Eli provided some great clarification about, what is actually required to apply and to start in the program in regard to the degree and the license. But to actually get that application started through admissions, you'll need to submit the common application or the SUNY application. So get that application form in and started. Doesn't matter which one you do. For us, you're going to apply as a transfer student. The SUNY application, I will say, if a lot of students are enrolled in like a community college within SUNY, if you are graduating with your associate's degree and you apply directly into a bachelor's degree at a four-year SUNY school, they will waive the application fee for like up to 7 schools. So save yourself a little bit of money. I think it's usually like $50 a pop there. So you can potentially have quite a savings. But either one is going to be fine for us. You do want to make sure that you're submitting transcripts from all colleges attended. It's not just the last one you attended. It's not the most relevant. It's any college that you've attended post high school that you've enrolled in. We do want to see those. So we do need the full record. GPA requirement for students to enter into this program. You'll need a minimum of a 2.5 overall GPA to transfer and to be eligible for the program. We do calculate that across all schools attended. Sometimes I have students that reach out to me and they say, I started out 10 years ago, didn't go so well. Now I'm in this program and doing much better. Please don't let that stop you from applying. If there's a concern, reach out. We'll take a look at your, unofficial transcripts, whatever it is we need to do. It's not uncommon for students to kind of start in one place and end in a very different place. So I don't want that to be, a barrier or to prevent people from applying into the program. We really want to work with you, and especially if students enter into an associate program and do well in the program, typically, we want to make it work for you. As Eli mentioned earlier, you can apply into actually 3 different terms. We have 3 different starting terms. So there's the spring semester, which is the next one coming up. That actually starts the end of January. There is the summer term as well. And I think there's a couple different sessions you can hop onto, but those start towards late May. And then there's the fall semester, which is the end of August. So there's 3 starting terms that you can select on your application, and they're all available to matriculate into this program.
Katie, just one note about the timeline for application. Isn't it? So the SUNY application, I believe, for next fall is open now, right? So the SUNY application for this spring, summer, and fall, next fall, is open now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for any of the 2022 terms.
Right.
So spring, summer, fall, that is all open. You can apply for any of those terms now. I will go over some of the recommended dates in a little bit, but we're still reviewing applications for the spring semester. So if people here today are still looking at coming in January, definitely still the possibility of getting your application getting completed, but we're also taking applications for summer and fall as well.
Right. The reason I say that, and sorry to jump the gun, Katie, is for anyone here, if you're currently in your associate's program and the spring semester is going to be your final semester, spoiler alert, it's going to be busy for sure. So if you want to get ahead of the game and actually apply now for next fall, you can. That was the only reason I wanted to say that, because I know a lot of times students in their final semester in their associate's program is really busy. So just to let you know, you do have that option available if you'd like.
Yep, and we'll take stuff kind of piece by piece as it comes in. So, if you want to get things started by like submitting your application form first, then work on getting your transcripts, like we'll add those all in. We create a checklist for you in your admissions portal so you can see what it is that we need to complete your application. And if for some reason don't feel like, if you're applying you think maybe you want to start in spring, maybe you want to start in summer, you're not 100% sure, you don't have to get super held up about which term it is. We can defer applications usually for up to a year from the original term that you apply for. So, if you think maybe spring might be a good date to aim for, and then life happens and you think, okay, maybe summer, fall, you can potentially defer that application. So that's just something that we can work on with the admissions office. All right, so here's some of those dates and deadlines I was talking about. I'll start with spring because that's the next one coming up. So we are rolling admissions, which means we will continue to review applications basically right up until the start of the semester, or until programs fill up, but really up until the start of the semester. That being said, we strongly recommend that you stick by our recommended dates and deadlines as close as you can. It just makes the process easier for you, less stressful for you and for us in terms of having enough time to get everything processed. So we do have a recommended deadline for getting applications in for spring of November 1st. Obviously, we're a little bit past that, but we're still accepting applications. So if you think you still want to apply for spring, or if you have an application that you've started but you still need to complete that, there is still time to do that. Just recommend working on that as soon as possible, being in contact with the admissions office. Once you apply, you're going to get information from me, you're going to get emails about completing that application. So definitely make sure that you're reaching out to us about keeping updated on your application. You can submit the FAFSA if you're planning to apply for financial aid. Recommend doing that around the same time that you submit your application so that the financial aid office can put a package together for you. It normally takes them about 2 weeks after an acceptance to turn around with a financial aid package. And if you've decided that you intend to enroll at SUNY Plattsburgh in the spring semester, then we recommend that you submit your admissions deposit by December 1st. And that is a $250 deposit. It comes off of your overall bill, so it's a small portion of that, and that basically confirms your intent to enroll. And then Eli, a little bit later on, will start working with you to select your courses, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. For fall and summer, so those semesters that start a little bit later in the year, summer being sometime in May, fall being end of August, some recommended dates to get your application in. We recommend having that application in by March 1st. Filing your FAFSA, you can start working on that now. So if you want to get that in before the end of the year, you absolutely can. But normally the financial aid office recommends having that in basically by the time that you apply, so that they can get a package for you within about 2 weeks of your acceptance. Recommended deposit deadline for fall and summer is going to be May 1st. And again, that's going to be that $250 deposit that comes off of your upcoming bill. And then transferring credits. So that's what a lot of people want to know about, what that process looks like. So the admissions office will create a credit evaluation for you. Normally, the turnaround time is within 2 weeks after an acceptance for getting that credit evaluation. We give you what's called degree works. So you'll get an admissions portal when you apply. And then once that degree works is completed, after your acceptance has been offered, you'll get an email notification. You'll have access to this degree works in your portal. And it's literally going to show you, like, it looks like a kind of like a worksheet that has like the curriculum, all the courses that you need for your program are listed, and you'll have check marks next to what you've already done. You'll be able to see what you have left to complete here. Just a little bit about our credit policies, like in terms of like the limits that we can transfer in. We can accept up to 67 credits from a 2-year institution, so most community colleges. We can transfer up to 84 credits from a 4-year institution. And that includes we can take advanced credit from high school. Like if you've taken some college courses during high school, a lot of students have taken maybe some foreign language courses or English or other coursework, they can submit those transcripts as well to be put into the credit evaluation. A lot of students end up meeting some gen ed requirements that way. If you've taken things by exam like AP, CLEP, Dante's, IB, you can have those official scores sent as well, and we'll also figure those into your credit evaluation. And we will also transfer in some military credit if you have like a joint services transcript, what's called the JST, you can have that submitted. If you've met your SUNY General Education series, which a lot of students may do, especially if they went through an associate's program at a SUNY community college, that means that you'll have basically your SUNY Plattsburgh Gen Ed requirements met when you get here. And that's basically a quarter of the degree. It's a minimum of 30 credits. So having that Gen Ed series met is really helpful to have coming in. One thing I will note about the credit evaluation, we will transfer in all of your non-nursing credit. So, things like your anatomy and physiology, your gen eds, microbiology, like you're going to see all of that transfer in. What you won't see transfer in right away are those like individual nursing skills courses. That happens later on in the program, where basically you'll get awarded a lump sum of somewhere between 30 to 34 nursing credits. And that's on top of those 67 or those 84 credit limits. So you can really stack up quite a bit of credit. Once your evaluation is done, you'll receive communication, one, that it's completed and you can take a look at it, but you're also invited to set up an appointment with admissions if you want to kind of go over that with someone, just kind of getting a feel for what that looks like, what that means in terms of your time here at Plattsburgh. We're happy to do that with you. All right, so after you've been accepted, hopefully submitted your admissions deposit, you've got the credit evaluation, and I will back up. You don't have to submit the deposit to get the credit evaluation. We do that after an acceptance automatically. So, usually once a student has had a chance to look at that degree works and maybe things like their financial aid, then they often will use that information to make their decision. At that point, once you're ready, you'll be able to work with the department for course advisement and orientation. And I think I'll hand things over to Eli to talk a little bit more about that piece of the puzzle.
Sure. So as Katie mentioned, once your official credit evaluation comes in, you can see exactly how all the courses you've already taken complete the requirements in the program. And you also will know exactly the remaining courses that you have left to complete the program. Like Katie said, that information is provided to you after your acceptance is given. So, and it's before you need to make a deposit and kind of, move forward with committing with your enrollment. So you can really see what the commitment would be. You get notified when your evaluation is completed. As your advisor, I also get notified as well. And at that point, I like to connect with you and figure out kind of what you have going on. Are you going to be working? What's your, situation? Do you have other responsibilities? And basically draft up a semester by semester schedule that will best meet your needs with what you have going on right now in your life. So you can see right from this, before you start, this is exactly what I would take every semester. Here's the courses I would take every semester, and this is how long it would take me. Now, that's certainly not set in stone. Life happens, things change, people get promotions, move, have kids, all sorts of different things. And so if that does need to change, it certainly can, but I would just work with you on that to make sure that you can progress through the program as seamlessly and as quickly as possible, and also meeting your needs. So that's the big piece. Once you get your credit evaluation completed, that I also would like to say, if you just start the program and you're like, I don't really know, I just want to try it out and see what's going on, definitely. I actually recommend that. If you just want to take one or maybe two courses and just see how it works for you, that's totally fine. And I think that's a really smart approach. Hopefully I'm not jumping the gun here, but our courses actually are half semester courses. So the nursing courses that you'd be required to take are all in a half semester format. So that means a 7-week format. So really what we can do with your schedule is arrange it so that you take one course in the 7-week period, you get a week off, and then you start a second 7-week course in the second half of the semester. And if you're open to taking courses in the winter and summer, you can basically just make progress towards your degree year round by just taking one course at a time. So it's really balanced that way. And that's what I think is really a big benefit of the program. It allows you to work full time. The majority of the students in the program are working as full time as nurses. And then because of that, are completing the program on a part-time basis. So that's just kind of an overview of the advisement piece. If you have any questions at any point, you can always reach out to me. I'll be reaching out to you prior to each registration to say, hey, how are things going? Do we need to make any changes to your plan? And just going from there. For the online orientation, so we have basically an online orientation course that has all the information that you'll need about the program, resources about registration, about different milestones you need to meet throughout the program, information about your clinical experiences, which come at the end of the program. That's all in one compact online orientation that you have access to right at the start and all the way through the program. So it's kind of a self-guided piece where all the information is there. And once you know where that is, you've read it over and you know how to refer to it, that's really a key piece to getting set up for success. If anyone's not taken an online course before, we also have a practice online course that basically gets you accustomed with working with the learning management system that your online courses will be delivered in. And it's basically a sandbox where you can go, click around, try things out, learn some of the basic things like how to submit an assignment or how to do a discussion board. And this is a completely, no stakes, really. It's just a practice zone for you to get comfortable. So if you haven't taken an online course and you're a little intimidated about that, don't worry, you'll have a really great opportunity to get up to speed and accustomed to working in the learning management system. So that's kind of the big piece with advisement and orientation.
Great, thank you. I had a couple questions in the chat that popped up. Nicole, I hope I answered your question. I'm also going to put a link in here later that has information to our costs and fees from that's currently listed on the website. And then we had another question that actually ties really nicely into, I think, our next slide here. I'll just move that along. Okay, yes, the question was, this is perfect. Can you talk more about the clinical experience, like how they're set up, if there's an in-person requirement, location? So that ties in really nicely to our next slide. You read our mind, because we do have a clinical coordinator that works with students to find those experiences in their region. So Eli, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. So the clinical experiences come at the end of the program. You can almost think about them as like your capstone or your practicum for the program. There's two clinical experiences. One is focused on public health. The other is focused on management and leadership. Both of these clinical experiences require on-site hours at a clinical agency or organization, as Katie said, in the area you're living. So the way it works is we have a clinical coordinator working in the nursing department who will work with you to find suitable placements in the area you're living. So a lot of programs actually require the students to find clinical placements and set them up. And that's not the case here. We have someone who will do that for you and work with you through the process. You obviously have to provide some information, where you're living, where you're working, what your interests are. But those, those experiences are coordinated for you. And in the rare event that, say, you're living in like an extremely rural area and there's just nothing within the radius, reasonable radius to travel to go to a clinical site, we'll actually set up a faculty-led alternate experience that will meet that requirement for you. So big picture, the clinical experiences we will help you with that, and we will make sure that you have substantive experiences that can meet your requirements and progress through the program. So it'll never be a situation like, oh, well, there's no clinical sites available, so you can't take the course. That won't happen. We certainly would not do that. So just rest assured there. Both, like I said, there's two experiences. Typically, each one of them requires between 40 to 50 on-site hours for the clinical piece. So the best kind of general idea I can give you of the commitment would be like 1 day a week for a 7-week period at that clinical site, being there in person. But again, a lot of preparation and planning goes into that. And I actually will be reaching out to you well over a semester, better, 6 to 8 months prior, working with you to get all of your things set up for that. You'll have to provide some documentation and some other things, health requirements and things like that. But so it's definitely takes a lot of planning, but myself and also the clinical coordinator will work closely with you to get all set up for those.
Thank you. And I did put the link with the cost information in the chat, so everyone should be able to access that. I had to type it in without trying to minimize my screen. You're welcome. Yeah, there's some information there, I think, about different rates and like online rates and stuff too. So there's some good information there. Right. So I think one of the things that students really appreciate about the program is kind of the level of support that the department provides, as well as preparation for, being successful upon graduation, and really kind of start going into their career, kind of taking the next step forward, and just really support to kind of get you through the program in general. Eli, can you talk a little bit about kind of the ways that the department really is able to support the student? Maybe if you can touch a little bit upon kind of the online aspect and like what, students can expect just in terms of like, online support, because some students, this might be the first time they're doing an online program.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. The one thing I'll say about an online program, if you haven't taken online courses before or you aren't familiar with an online program requires your participation and your engagement on just as frequently, actually, I would even say more frequently than a in-person program, right? So there are no common meeting times for our classes. So all the online classes are what we call asynchronous online, which means there's no common virtual meeting time. So you don't need to be at your computer at a specific, Tuesday, Thursday at 4 o'clock. So with that, there's like a lot of flexibility. You have your requirements, you have your assignments, you have your deadlines, and you complete them however that best works with your schedule. That's intentional because, nurses have very diverse schedules, working nights, weekends, all these different arrangements, and we want to be as flexible as possible with you to accommodate your schedule. Having said that, it is really important to engage, I would say, every day, if not every day, every other day with your coursework. Just because there's not in-person meetings doesn't mean that you can not be engaged in classes for a week or two. But the reason I say that is the professors in the program, the teaching faculty in the program, this program was one of the first online RN-to-B.S nursing completion programs in the state. So the teaching faculty are very accustomed to working with students in the online format and also are very communicative about what your requirements are and how to help you to be successful. So having said that, like if you don't log in for 5 or 6 days, your professor will be reaching out to you, be like, hey, I noticed you haven't logged in 5 or 6 days. Is everything okay? Or you've had a late assignment. Is everything okay? We want to be there to help you and support you. And in online programs, because you're not meeting face to face, it's sometimes a little easier to get kind of disengaged, right? And we want to make sure that you have all the tools and all the information and all the resources provided to you to be successful. I've done several online programs, and sometimes you can get this feeling of like, is it just me on this island and I'm just putting stuff out into the void? And that is something that we really strive to not have students feel. There are people here who care. There are people here who want to see you succeed. And we're gonna reach out to you and make sure that everything's going well and make sure that you have all of your needs met, and also make sure that you get connected with resources if you need it. As an online student, you have access to virtually all the same resources as an in-person on-campus student would. You have access to all of the library resources, things in the health and counseling center as well. We have online tutoring available. We're part of a consortium in New York State that provides online tutoring for some key classes. One of them, statistics. Sometimes that's a troublesome subject for students. So there's a lot of resources available to you. The biggest piece is communicating, right? So like I said, I'll be reaching out to you multiple times during the semester, and making sure everything's going right. But if you have an issue, if you have a question and you don't know where to send it to me. I can't guarantee that I'll have the answer, but I can guarantee that if I don't, I'll make sure that I connect you with a resource or an area on campus that can get you what you need, or at least provide an answer that is appropriate. So having said that, an online program is great because there's a lot of flexibility, but it is important to stay engaged. And the structure of this program is set up such that we really help students stay engaged and push forward to meet their goals and progress through the program and get a great education. So yeah, I'll say that. Thanks.
So yeah, I think at this point, that's kind of all the general information that we've got for you. But if there's questions that you want to ask, if you want to use the chat or Q&A, we'll stay on for a little bit and just make sure we can get those questions answered for you. not seeing anything yet, but I know a number of you were
Yeah.
asking questions about the
So
presentation.
while folks are thinking, so Katie, I just for the fees per credit, I believe that so that 9134, I believe that would be the fees per credit for on-campus programs. I
Okay.
believe the fees per credit for an online because as an online student, you're not subject to some fees that on-campus students are. So I believe that number is actually if you go to the link that Katie sent, I believe it's that 2287. If you go down under part-time and non-billed costs and that drop down on that link that Katie sent, you'll see it's kind of broken down somewhat confusingly, but you'll see online and the fees per credit at 2287. I'm practically certain that that would be the fees per credit for the RN-to-B.S program because it is an exclusively online program.
Great. Save you a little bit.
Every dollar counts.
Yes, yes. Oh, couple questions. Maybe I missed it, but did you mention if the courses are synchronous or asynchronous?
Yeah, so Christina, the courses are all asynchronous. So no synchronous courses. The only synchronous requirement, I'll say, is the on-site clinical requirement. But as I said, that comes at the end of the program and that's not done online, right? That's an in-person requirement, but it's done in the area you're living. So you don't have to travel to Plattsburgh or come to campus for anything except graduation if you want to. Fato, so where on the website can I find a list of the required courses and prereqs? Let me send you the link to the RN-to-B.S page. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but that information about the required courses for the program, it's at the bottom of the page. We have some really great, like a video at the top and a bunch of our kind of overview at the top. At the bottom, there's this section called additional information. And that is actually where you'll find stuff like the required courses. We have a couple what we call sample plans of study, which are like semester by semester plans. You'll read this at the top, but those semester by semester plans are really, let me just say, not representative of the typical student experience. What we try to show on those plans is that if you come in with like nothing, like you need electives, you need gen eds, you're not taking a lot of courses in the winter and summer, it's just showing that what that would take to complete it. But if you're done a lot of your gen eds, which most students are, if you're willing to take courses in the winter and summer, which most students do, you can complete the program in, I would say, 1.5 to 2 year period. That's more typical of what the student experience would be. But we just want to show for all students that say, you need a lot more of the requirements. We want to show that what that would take. So basically, long story short, those curriculum plans of study are typically going to be quite a bit longer than what it would actually be for the typical student in the program.
I am going to put the admissions email here in the chat for everyone so that if there are questions that you want to follow up with, you can send them to the admissions email. They'll come my way and I can either answer them or get in touch with Eli. Question, oh, when you say to take classes over the winter, are they nursing courses or gen ed classes? Oh, you're muted, I think.
Sorry, Katie. Thanks. I must have missed that last one. So we typically offer a nursing elective over the winter, and you are required to take one nursing elective for the program. So you could take that, but there's also gen eds and cognates, which are offered over the winter. So cognates are required courses that are related to nursing, but they're not nursing courses specifically. So those would be like statistics, which I mentioned, intro to psychology, sociology, and human nutrition. Those are typically a couple that students may not have completed in their associate's program. And those are all offered online in the winter and summer. So if you're not taking a nursing course, then it would probably be one of those. And in the winter term is pretty short. So typically I would just recommend taking one course for that term. And I'm just going to throw my email in the chat as well. If you have any questions about the program or the courses, feel free to reach out to me. But if you have anything about the application process, feel free to reach out to Katie with the admissions email.
Eli, I'm just gonna copy that. It looks, at least from what I'm reading, it looks like it's just going to me. So I'm just gonna
Oh my
copy.
goodness, sorry.
That's
Wow.
okay. Just send that to everyone.
I
All
want to
right.
send that to everyone. There we go.
No,
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, double.
That's okay. Great minds think alike. So,
Right.
all right. So you should have a couple links in the chat with some good information. Does Plattsburgh offer any scholarships for students? There are not admission scholarships specifically for nursing. However, if you are applying for if you're applying for financial aid, there may be, different parts of that, whether it's grants, loans that may be incorporated into your financial aid package. I'm not sure. I know sometimes majors, once students are enrolled, may have some opportunities that students enrolled in the program can apply for. I don't know if there's anything specific that you know of for nursing at this time, or that's something they would kind of check in once they're enrolled.
Yeah. So Christina, the nursing department gives out a few scholarships every year, but they're basically like departmental scholarships and awards. They're typically not a lot, so they don't really, it's not a substantial piece to like lower your overall cost of attendance. I was just reading, I already have a bachelor's and have no financial aid available via loans or grants. Okay, because I was going to say the primary financial aid item that students in the program utilize are federal nursing loans. And one of the reasons why is you only need to be enrolled in 6 credits per term to be eligible for them. A lot of other financial aid packages require full-time enrollment, so 12 credits or more, which I would typically not recommend unless you really don't have anything else going on. So that's the biggest piece there, those federal nursing loans. There's also Pell Grants. I know this doesn't apply to you because you don't have any available, but Pell Grants also can be awarded on a part-time basis, to my knowledge as well. So those are the two big things. So besides the departmental scholarships, which are more kind of awards, there's nothing jumping to mind that would be, super, I guess, appropriate for your case. The one thing I will say that the college is really good about is they have payment plans. So basically you can set up a payment plan with the college where you do, several payments for your semester balance rather than just all of it in one go. That can be really helpful. And the other piece, and I'm not sure what people are, if they're currently in their associates, or if they're currently working, but many employers, hospitals have a tuition remission or tuition benefit for their RNs. They want their RNs to get their bachelor's degrees. So a lot of times your employer can pay for a huge portion of your degree. And that's why I really recommend that this program is kind of best suited for people or nurses rather that are working, because then you can use those tuition benefits and tuition remission from your employer.
And questions?
Excelsior scholarships. So Excelsior scholarships are unavailable to unit residents in the program. I believe the Excelsior scholarship is, it's for New York State residents, to my knowledge. It is, I'm not sure not entirely sure of the eligibility requirements. I know we've had some students who've been on Excelsior scholarships in this program. So unless something drastic changed that I'm not aware of, I believe that would be available to you, as so long as you meet all of the requirements for the Excelsior scholarship. I do know that the Excelsior scholarship does require full-time enrollment. So that would be like 12 credits a term. If that's the case, I would not recommend working, or at least not recommend working full-time, maybe like a per diem situation or a part-time situation, because 12 credits is quite a bit. But there are some students in the program who are completing the program on a full-time basis. So that is possible. It's just, if you're going to be working, I would just be a little cautious. Does that help, Nicole? Hopefully. Let me know if not.
All right.
Okay, great.
I think at this point, we'll head out now and let everyone enjoy the rest of their their week. You've got the contact information for admissions, for me, for Eli, in the chat. So if anything comes up, anything that you want to follow up on, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll be there.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you everyone for taking the time today. Hope this was really helpful, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Take care.